What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So yesterday morning, a massive announcement was made, and that is that Microsoft is buying Activision Blizzard, and this caught everyone by surprise, and there's a lot going into this. The games, the studios, what happens to Bobby Kotick. We'll go over all of that here today. Also, we're going to be talking about a big but expected leak that's now hit Nintendo and the Pokemon Company, leaving us to hopefully be able to avoid spoilers for the next week and a half for Pokemon Legends Arceus. And we're also going to be going over the NPD results for the month of December, as well as all of 2021, because it looks like Sean will be playing Battle in Wonderworld after all. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure that like button helps us out a ton. And if you're new here to the Spawnwave channel, make sure you subscribe down below and ring that notification bell so you can keep up to date with all the uploads here on the channel. And we're going to start today with Xbox Game Pass. This is a service that people have been wondering about the sustainability. Is it something that Microsoft can continue to actually push how they are now going forward with mostly how much it costs? That's the biggest thing. Does this actually make money? And generally, we're hoping to hear more about the subscriber number for this service to determine that. Well, Microsoft hasn't been as upfront around their big platform they're pushing now. And of course, they're not very upfront about Xbox hardware sales, whereas Sony and Nintendo will tell us exactly how many Switch systems or how many PlayStation systems have sold. Yesterday, Phil Spencer seemed pretty confident after working to buy Activision Blizzard and told us how many people have subscribed to the service. We can see this over on the press release saying, we also announced today that Game Pass now has more than 25 million subscribers. As always, we look forward to continue to add more value and more great games to Game Pass. Now, 25 million, of course, that number is after the holidays with Halo releasing and Forza Horizon 5. I think this is about where they would want to be now. Obviously, they want to be hundreds of millions of subscribers, but I think where they are currently is something they're going to work to build on with that Activision Blizzard announcement. But really looking at this, they're thinking long-term overall. Hundreds of millions of subscribers is just a small milestone for them here and just a way to update people alongside of that Activision Blizzard announcement. So there we go. We'll see what happens as we roll along towards 50 or 60 million. Maybe we can get rid of that Xbox Live Gold. Also, we did get an announcement for release dates on Kingdom Hearts Cloud Edition on the Switch. We'll take a look at some of the trailer they have here. These will be releasing February 10th. They already have demos on the eShop you can try out right now. We also have different pricings you can see here. Kingdom Hearts HD 1.5 plus 2.5 cloud version, $39.99. Some of these will have discounts, like for example, this one down to $32 at launch. Kingdom Hearts 2.8 Final Chapter, that's $50 or $40 at the discount launch. Kingdom Hearts 3 plus Remind, that's $50 or $40 with the discount. And then the big one, Kingdom Hearts Integram Masterpiece, that should have all of the content there at $90 or $72 at a discounted price. I tried it out. It's not very good. The experience itself, while it's not the laggiest cloud version I've played, it's still there. The picture quality is not very good either. And really all I got out of this was, it's a shame they did not actually port these over natively and decide to go through the cloud, because people have been asking for Kingdom Hearts on the Switch for a while. It makes sense to put it on there. It's just, unfortunately, whether it's space constraints around the cartridge, which is kind of where I think they fell with that was the big holdup, or just the power of the Switch. I don't believe that's the case, because we saw like Kingdom Hearts 1.5, 2.5 on the PlayStation 3. Maybe Kingdom Hearts 3 would have been an issue, but they certainly could have done that through the cloud, whereas released the other ones natively on the system. Unfortunately, though, they are available through the cloud. At least it's something if you have no other option. But unfortunately, for the amount they're charging for these cloud versions on the Switch, I would recommend seeking out other ways to play these games. Oh, and it looks like we did have a big addition for Game Pass leaked out a bit early through one of those cards that Microsoft will post up on their announcements around dates and different games heading to the service. We can see it here. This showed up on their website a little early and someone spotted it, and you can see Death's Door does appear to be heading into Game Pass with the announcement of things like Hitman Trilogy and Windjammers 2. When they make it official and they put out all of their dates and stuff on the news.xbox.com website. Death's Door is an awesome game, and I completely recommend people checking it out. Obviously, if it's in Game Pass, but I picked it up when it released and absolutely loved it, so certainly keep an eye on that one, and we should be getting dates and all of this in an official post, and I'll keep you guys up to date on that. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with Activision Blizzard. Microsoft announced yesterday they will be acquiring them over the next year and a half. This is a deal that will be closing mid-2023. I think it's going to coincide with Microsoft's overall fiscal year, and it looks like they are buying them for $68.7 billion. All cash. A lot of times you'll hear about these acquisitions and you got to go in and say, okay, how much cash they do, how much in stock. No, Microsoft is legitimately writing a check and they're just like, we'll take all of this. But they did put this blog post up just going over the entire deal. This was put out there with Phil Spencer, and you can see the card at the top, Xbox plus Activision Blizzard and King, very similar to what they did when they had bought Bethesda and ZeniMax. And I mean, you can see some of the large IPs and games there: Overwatch, Diablo, Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, Candy Crush. I know people in Candy Crush and it's like, what's that doing there? Candy Crush makes a lot of money in the mobile space. And then StarCraft. They also have some of the studios listed at the bottom, also putting out Toys for Bob. It's kind of a shame that Vicarious Visions isn't there, but they're part of Blizzard. They're somewhere in there. You know, they're Blizzard somewhere. Hey, we need another Tony Hawk game, Microsoft. That's the biggest thing here. But they do say, welcoming the incredible teams and legendary franchises of Activision Blizzard to Microsoft Gaming. Creators of Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, Candy Crush, Tony Hawk, Diablo, Overwatch, Spyro, Hearthstone, Guitar Hero, Crash Bandicoot, StarCraft, and more join Team Xbox. This from Phil Spencer saying, until this transaction closes, Activision Blizzard and Microsoft Gaming will continue to operate independently. Once the deal is complete, the Activision Blizzard business will report to me as CEO, Microsoft Gaming. And there is a lot of paperwork that's going to go into this. Has to go through a lot of regulations and checks and all of that. And people have been wondering, wait, is this even going to get through? Because it looks like we're starting to see a monopoly form. Well, if we go over to Reuters, they did point out that Microsoft, currently their gaming market share was 6.5% in 2020. Adding Activision would then take it to about 10.7%. So do you think one company taking up 10.7%, that's with Activision, would be considered a monopoly on the overall space? The biggest part here is that gaming is just massive. So Microsoft, yeah, they can make these acquisitions and it not necessarily hold up as an overall monopoly. And it's hard to put in perspective how much money Microsoft is spending on Activision Blizzard. I know Dr. Serkintoto pointed out that Nintendo's overall capitalization is just north of $60 billion. So in essence, yeah, Microsoft spent a Nintendo to get Activision Blizzard. Now, of course, the company has to agree to this, and Bloomberg had a massive write-up over all of this. And they had some sources saying that there were negotiations between Phil Spencer and Bobby Kotick, and Kotick actually went out and tried to find someone who would outbid Microsoft. Who would outbid that? I mean, I guess they would have gone to, I don't know, maybe Disney, or I guess they can go to Amazon or Google, and I have a feeling they all just kind of laughed and walked away. But Microsoft has a reason to buy Activision, and that's Game Pass. They're looking to build this for the long term, and that, of course, brings up the idea of what happens to the games at Activision Blizzard now, well, in a year and a half when Microsoft officially takes over. Because if you remember, on the build to Bethesda, that was a pretty lengthy process too with that acquisition. Phil Spencer, he wasn't very straightforward about things until the ink dried on that signature. Then all of a sudden he's like, it's all just on Game Pass going forward. Well, take a look at this. This was posted up by Dina Bass. Says, further from Phil Spencer on the exclusivity issue, I'll just say to players out there who are playing Activision Blizzard games on Sony's platform, it's not our intent to pull communities away from that platform, and we remained committed to that. Yep, sounds like the same kind of PR speak that Phil was saying throughout that pending period with Bethesda. I have a strong feeling that after this deal closes mid-2023, you're going to see Phil Spencer become much more straightforward about how you're going to be playing Call of Duty the following year. I think Warzone will stay on PlayStation platforms. Basically, look around now where Activision has their games, especially their service-based games. I think they're going to remain there. It's going to be the newer games that are upcoming, say Call of Duty in 2024, that will just be on Game Pass, or platforms that support Game Pass. Remember, that's something that Phil Spencer has mentioned many times. If you want some of these games, you just put Game Pass on your platform, whether it's the PlayStation or Nintendo Switch, and then you can get Call of Duty, right? You can get all these different games, maybe the next big Overwatch spinoff or something. There's a lot, I think, that's going to come out of Activision now that Microsoft is looking to acquire them. Again, we're going to have to wait about a year and a half to see this actually unfold, but think about how much variety Microsoft needs to hold up Game Pass. Things like a new Crash Bandicoot, a new Spyro, a new Tony Hawk, to me, all of those are back on the table after before we kind of shelved them because it looked like Activision was taking all these studios and saying, you gotta work on Warzone and Call of Duty. We don't have time to be messing around with another Crash Bandicoot. And then also think about some of the studio crossover. Do you think there's a studio at Activision that might be able to produce, I don't know, a new Banjo and Kazooie? Maybe Microsoft gets crazy, looks into the vault and says, hey, let's do another prototype. Again, a lot of variety for Game Pass. That's the biggest thing they're gonna be pushing throughout the next several decades as they work to build that subscriber count up. And obviously it's no secret that Activision, well, the morale has not been great there. Well, it looks like, according to sources from Bloomberg and others, that optimism is at least seeking its way back in to Activision after this announcement was made, and it appears that Bobby Kotick will be leaving after the acquisition is done. At least, again, sources from Bloomberg are confirming this, that the current plan is that Bobby Kotick will stay on until the deal is done mid-2023, and then he'll kind of exit from there with several golden parachutes. In fact, you don't have to feel bad for him. Take a look at this here. This from Bloomberg. Activision Blizzard CEO Bobby Kotick is looking at a $375.3 million payday when Microsoft completes its $68.7 billion deal to buy the video game giant. So there you go. It just took nearly $70 billion to buy Activision to get Bobby Kotick out of there. Again, another year and a half or so. But I am at least interested to see how things may change at Activision Blizzard with Microsoft taking over. Will they take chances on smaller projects that would then find a place in Game Pass? I'm at least hopeful for that. And I saw some people say, oh, they could have used the $70 billion and created different studios and done things from the ground up. That's going to take a long time. They're having a hard time just building up the initiative right now. I must feel like people think developers like grow on trees or something. No, to hire, bring in teams and form them and come up with new IPs that you then spend decades like Call of Duty building up, that's not going to happen in a year and a half. This seems on track to happen in a year and a half, and that's been Microsoft's thing. They will make acquisitions if it makes sense for them in the long run as a service-based gaming company. They have the Xbox, I understand, but clearly their big focus is Game Pass. Xbox is just a way to get you it. But either way, certainly a historic moment in gaming with Activision Blizzard now becoming part of Microsoft by mid-2023. It's gonna be interesting to see how Sony reacts to this, mostly because I do think that Microsoft is gonna be taking Call of Duty away from the PlayStation 5, at least with the new releases going forward. So again, we'll see how that plays out. I know there's gonna be a lot of discussion around them leaving it on the PlayStation 5 because it makes too much money. Reminds me of the talks that everyone was having around Bethesda and them leaving Starfield and some of those games on PlayStation. It just makes too much money. Guys, Microsoft is writing a literal check for Activision Blizzard. And people don't understand this. They're not doing it because they want to generate revenue from boxed copies of Call of Duty going forward. They're doing it because they want to build up recurring revenue with Game Pass. Also, cash in general is probably better invested currently, and that's kind of their mindset when you're dealing with that much money. Next up, let's talk about Pokemon Legends Arceus, and surprise, surprise, it's leaked out early. I think we all expected this. I may have even mentioned that it probably will leak out a week or so early, and here we are now with images being posted up on Facebook yesterday of the box itself, front and back. So if you're curious what it looks like, you can go on Facebook, or I'm sure it's being posted around online now, and then an image of the cartridge itself, which once you see that pop up, you know what's soon to follow: gameplay, images, and most likely the game itself and files starting to be dumped online, which means people will be playing them in emulators and on their hacked Switch systems. I'm not gonna be showing you any of that stuff, the gameplay, any of that, because the Pokemon Company, they don't mess around. They're pretty serious about going after videos, websites, the whole deal. Twitter, you're gonna see a bunch of those like copyright claimed images pop up where there should be a Pokemon Legends Arceus leaked image. And I have seen them already start to show up on Twitter. And this is just something that Nintendo continues to have to contend with throughout this generation, and it will keep happening. Breath of the Wild 2, I think, is gonna be really big when that one leaks out. Whew, good luck there, because obviously people have been waiting so long for that to come out, and there's a lot of lore tied into it that, of course, could be spoiled, whereas Legends Arceus, brand new thing. Yes, there is story elements involved there, but still it's not as storied of a franchise as The Legend of Zelda when it comes down to the narrative that they have in it. Also, we did have Nate mention that Monolith Soft was actually part of the development. You can see his tweet here. Narrative around Pokemon Legends Arceus visuals is going to hit a hard pivot soon, and I'm looking forward to it. Internet, why didn't Nintendo let so-and-so assist and help on the game? Well, about that, and it sounds like Monolith was involved for smaller things, assets, different parts of the landscape, those kind of things that we're running support for. And I mean, I still think the game looks below average in general, and whether that's just Game Freak and them trying to adapt to 3D game development or the Switch, you sacrifice something somewhere to keep the frame rate up, and yeah, maybe it's the textures on the ground, or you need a Nintendo 64 tree or two in there. But hey, if the gameplay loop is good and it's fun to spend time in, then I think most people will at least see past the graphics. I mean, after all, it's Pokemon. So good luck. Hopefully you can avoid the spoilers, because now that it's out there, it's gonna be really tough over the next week. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about the NPD results for the month of December, as well as all of 2021. Now, starting with the hardware, the Switch did sell the most in December when it came to number of units, and the PlayStation 5 and the Switch tied when it came down to dollar sales, or just revenue that was generated, which makes sense. The Switch is like $300 or $200 or $350, whereas PlayStation 5, $400 or $500. Let's take a look at the games here. We have the top 20. We'll go over the top 10 though. Call of Duty Vanguard was number 1. Then we had Halo Infinite number 2, which might surprise people considering it was on Game Pass and the multiplayer was free, but still sold well enough to be in there at number 2. And then we have Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl that is only counting physical copies. Then we have Madden NFL 22, Battlefield 2042, Mario Kart 8, again, those are just physical copies, Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales, Mario Party Superstars, NBA 2K22, and then Animal Crossing New Horizons. So not too surprising to see Call of Duty at the top there, but Halo, I'll say at number 2, surprised me a bit because of Game Pass. And if you look at all of 2021, Call of Duty Vanguard was number 1, and then Call of Duty Cold War was number 2, so kind of makes sense why Microsoft's looking at it and saying, wow, we could probably get the top 2 spots at NPD, put that on Game Pass, and get a bunch of signups there. But let's take a look at Nintendo's 2021. That gets a little more interesting when it comes down to Metroid Dread and those sales numbers. We can see this here. We have Pokemon Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl at the top, Mario Kart 8, Super Mario 3D World, Animal Crossing New Horizons, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Monster Hunter Rise, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Mario Party Superstars, Pokemon Sword and Shield, Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword, and then Metroid Dread, actually above New Super Mario Bros. And New Pokemon Snap. So Metroid Dread coming in just behind Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD, despite it launching in October, is a big deal because Skyward Sword HD is at like 3.6 million sold last it was reported. Now, this is just in the US, and I understand Metroid isn't exactly massive in Japan, but the fact that it's sitting in there at that level right now in the charts tells me it probably will cross 3 million over the course of the next like 9 months, which means, yeah, Sean will probably have to play Balan Wonderworld. And it does make me wonder what number Nintendo is going to be reporting for Metroid Dread, which they should give us hard numbers for it overall through the end of December, in a couple of weeks here actually to kick off February. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. I don't know if it's going to be at 3 million right away when they report it, but if it's 2.5 or above when they tell us about their overall earnings report, Sean might as well just start a Balan Wonderworld right now. And before we go to the comment of the day, we're taking a little poll I posted up yesterday where I asked, will Microsoft make Call of Duty games in the future Xbox PC Game Pass exclusive? 61% said yes, 39% said no. And I did. I saw some people who say, hey, they can't do it. There's too much money they'll lose there. But you have to remember, Microsoft isn't about making all the money back tomorrow. They're thinking, okay, over the next decade, 2 decades, will it work out more for us to just keep it as a Game Pass exclusive to get signups over time, to get to that 100 or even 200 million subscriber mark? Think about that. 200 million subscribers at $15 a month, and you might think that's impossible. Not necessarily. The number doesn't reset whenever we go to another generation, and they're also targeting PC, cell phones, along with Xbox. Who knows? Maybe we get to a point where PlayStation's like, wow, we kind of have to put Game Pass on our PlayStation 5 because Microsoft just has most of the third parties now. I mean, who knows what Microsoft's doing next, because they just bought Activision Blizzard. To me, nothing's off the table. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day as you're seeing here. This is from Banana saying, for the Sony patent, I think it may be a proof of concept for an accessory for phones. Imagine a controller that collapses into itself and then you pop it open and put your phone in the middle to play games from PlayStation Now or Spartacus. Seems like Sony trying to curb a piece of that market. That wouldn't shock me, to be honest, because yeah, you want to at least be able to carry around some sort of physical controller with your phone if that's what you're going to be playing on. And carrying around a PlayStation DualSense controller or an Xbox controller is not great. So if it's something that can really like fold really, really small and go in a pocket or in your backpack, yeah, that'd be good to see. I do believe Sony is going to make a concerted push towards cloud gaming more so than they already have with PlayStation Now, and bring in their legacy library with PlayStation 1, 2, 3, PSP, all being playable on your phone, I think would be a good strategy for them next to, obviously, the PlayStation 5. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button, really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here. Today was the massive acquisition that's been announced between Microsoft and Activision Blizzard. Did it shock you? And what do you think happens here going forward with some of those games like Call of Duty? And then also, what about Pokemon Legends Arceus now leaking out? How are you going to be avoiding all the spoilers? Thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll see you next time.